Hey everybody, I'm pretty sure I don't have to say today's date in this video. I can't believe it's been 10 years already. 10 years, and sometimes I still don't believe it myself. There's, every generation has their one moment. People say, I remember where I was when Pearl Harbor was attacked, or I remember where I was when Kennedy was shot. Well, I'll always remember where I was on this day 10 years ago. I remember waking up to a phone call from my friend Bree. First words out of her mouth, World Trade Center is gone. I couldn't process it at that hour. I had just woken up. I didn't know what happened. She told me what had been happening. She told me about planes crashing into the Twin Towers. First thing I did was I turned on the TV. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. This is New York City we're talking about here. Nothing like that. Nothing of that degree has ever happened on American soil. Not since Pearl Harbor. And nothing like that's ever happened. On a, how do I put it? Nothing like that's ever happened in a civilian setting, I should say. Pearl Harbor was a base. New York City, it's the tourism capital of the United States, and I just sat there for a while watching it on TV, completely shocked. I turned on the TV. I didn't even have to change the channel. All I had to do was turn it on, and it was everywhere. I didn't know what to think. I was just completely shocked. And the phone call started coming in. Got a call from my dad. He wanted to let me know he was okay. My dad was living in Brooklyn at the time, and he would go in and out of the city for this or that. Whether it's to go uptown, to go to a store here, go downtown for this. That was kind of one of his ways of relaxing, of just going out and doing something fun. He would go into the city, go to the movies or this or that. And when I heard he was okay, I felt a little bit better. I was living in Middletown at the time, and Middletown, Middletown lost 37 people that day. 37 Middletown residents died. Middletown lost more people than any municipality in the United States. I'm sure, of course, a lot of people think, a lot of New Yorkers died, but the thing you got to remember is, New York, not only is it the tourism capital, it's a capital for commerce. A lot of people commute from everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but a lot of people would commute and work in New York City. People from New Jersey, people from the other boroughs. But the thought that the city where I lived, that I had called home for so long, lost more people in that event than any other municipality in the country, that's when it hits you just a little bit more. And then I had heard from my dad that my uncle was in Manhattan at the time, his brother. And luckily for him, when it happened, he was nowhere near, and he was already on the subway on his way home. And then, probably one of the most frightening things was I got a call from my mom, and she told me that one of my cousins on her side of the family, one of my cousins, I can't remember which, because there's a lot of, because I have a lot of family, especially on my mom's side, that we don't keep in touch with a whole lot for whatever reasons I don't know. But she told me one of my cousins actually worked in the South Tower, and that was completely horrifying. And when she told me that, when the first plane hit the North Tower, my cousin, being the kind of person he is with my family, he up and left. He left everything behind. He left his keys, his briefcase, everything. Nothing, He just got on his feet and left the building. He was one of the lucky ones. But a lot of people were so lucky that day. After I found out, everybody in my family who might have been there, who might have been in that area, or even in one of the buildings, it seemed, were okay, I could breathe a little bit easier. And then I went down to Sandy Hook. I stood there on the beach, looked out over the water at New York City, and I could still see the smoke. My home city was burning. And it hit me right in the gut. As much as I consider myself a Jersey boy, I lived in New Jersey ever since I was 4 years old, up until I was about 24. So for a good 20 years of my life, I lived in Jersey. I lived in Middletown, and I called that place my home. It was at that time where I really started to feel my New York roots. I'm proud to be a Jersey boy, always will. But I'll never deny that my roots lie in the soil of New York. I was born in New York City, on the borough of Staten Island. Staten Island, Kings County, New York City. And I'll never deny my roots. It's what it says in my birth certificate. It's what's in my heart, in my blood. New York City is not in my blood, but my family's. My father's from Brooklyn, my mother's from Queens. I was born in Staten Island. New York City is in my blood, my heart. And to see that burning on such a beautiful day, over those next few days, hearing about everything that happened, why it happened, I had a feeling nothing would ever be the same again. But it never really hit me fully. It never really reached and hit me hard until a couple years later, when I was with my dad. I went to go visit him, spend the day with him, just hanging out, and we went to New York City. We went into Manhattan, and then while we were walking around, we found ourselves at what'll always be now known as Ground Zero. To be standing there behind that chain link fence and seeing nothing more than a hole in the ground where there used to be a magnificent building. That's when it kind of hit home for me. Because I remember times in the past when I was younger, when I would go, me and my sister, we'd go visit my dad, and we'd go down to downtown Manhattan, the World Trade Center, and we would go to all the little shops, like the little shops in the area, the places underneath the World Trade Center where you could get stuff to eat, and bookstores and this and that. And to think that those places that I used to go with my dad and my sister, it's not there anymore. And just standing there looking at that crater in the ground and thinking about all those people and all those innocent lives. That's when it really all changed for me. And I stood there looking at what happened, and I couldn't help but cry. I know the entire country can share in the pain that those people felt on that day, but not to sound selfish or anything, but being a New Yorker by birth and blood, and being raised in Jersey, just a stone's throw away from that building, and then a few years later, having seen it firsthand, what happened on that day, I don't think you can ever fully understand. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for knowing that no one that I know, as selfish as that may sound, none of my friends or my family were killed or hurt, and I'll always be thankful for that. birthday. Whoever may be watching this, if you've got your friends or family with you,